Welcome back, y'all. This is video number 2 today. We will be talking about David Sanders. Please do us a very big favor. Make sure to press the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And also double check to make sure that you are subscribed. That helps us out tremendously. We put a lot of time, effort, and work into every single one of these videos, and we need y'all support. So thank you so much in advance. But talking about David Sanders, if you have not heard, he did go up and visit Ohio State this past weekend versus Indiana, and Ohio State actually finished second to Tennessee before he did ultimately commit to our Volunteers. Now, this is a really big deal because we know that their family went through everything possible to, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and make sure that they're picking the best school for David. At this point, with him going to visit them, it sounds like he might still be there today. I don't know if he's still there at this point, but if he stayed over the course of this weekend, they're spending their own money to do this because he's already had his OV to Ohio State. All these things to me point towards they're taking Ohio State very, very seriously. Now, what we've heard from some of the insiders is that this is something that might have been more agent driven. It could have something to do with his NIL contract, not specifically about the dollar amount, but with something, I don't know, maybe it's smaller, whatever. Maybe it's about the guaranteed money. Maybe it's about who's giving him that money. Maybe he wants more money right now. I have absolutely no idea because they're not speaking past that. They're keeping things very close to the vest. So for us as Vol fans, all we can do is just speculate. For me, it just, sounds and feels like David Sanders. Maybe, I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never spoke to him personally. It could be that he wants attention. He doesn't strike me too much as that sort of a player or guy, period. So I don't know if that's quite it, but I had to throw that out there. To me, it just kind of strikes me as there's something else that's not necessarily contract related or NIL related that maybe got David Sanders to open things back up and reconsider Ohio State. That's just what would make the most sense to me because if Tennessee's already offering him the most money, maybe he doesn't like the way that the offense looks. Maybe, I don't know. I'm purely speculating. So please don't take this and run with it like it's law or like I'm saying, hey, this is exactly what it is. I am purely speculating. So I don't know with all those things, but I also have heard from maybe I would say probably some very arrogant Ohio State fans that he might be reconsidering because of the medical school. I could almost say with 99.9% certainty that that's just not true because David Sanders is about to be a multimillionaire. He does not need to go undergrad at Ohio State to, end up at their medical school. That's not how that works, okay? Money runs this country. This is a capitalist country. If you have enough money, you can get wherever you want to go, right? Like it opens up pretty much all the doors if you have enough. So if he doesn't want to do it immediately after college, he's going to be, I think that he's a generational talent. So he will play in the NFL for several years. He speaks very well. So he will get plenty of endorsements. He's going to have money, right? Like he's going to be fine. So whatever, medical school he wants to go to, he can choose. I think that that's just, again, a very arrogant Ohio State fan spreading some stuff out there, and the other arrogant Ohio State fans are, keeping that going. So I don't think that that's the case. I do think that it's something more with the on the field stuff. Okay. I do think that that's a part of it that people aren't talking about, but probably has more to do with the actual NIL contract. Again, we can't pinpoint exactly what that is, but let me tell you all this, right? I don't think that David Sanders is going to ultimately pull the trigger until after this Ohio State Michigan game, because we all know that Ryan Day might not be on the hot seat per se, but he is most definitely up under a microscope because they've lost to Michigan, for the last 3-4 seasons, something like that. So if they lose to them again, now he's on the hot seat. And if they do lose to them, all of a sudden, Ohio State might have to go on the road to face an SEC team. I think that any SEC team that makes it to the college football playoffs will beat Ohio State because there are people who are out here, that are more national analysts. And I'm not trying to bash them because they don't have enough time to watch the film. Mostly they're just watching games. If you just watch the, games, you're not really breaking things down. You don't understand how much of a, difference there is between the Big Ten and everybody else compared to the SEC. The SEC is by far, by far the best conference. It's the deepest, and I still think that we have the highest end teams. If Ohio State played in the SEC, they would already have 2, maybe even 3 losses, all depending on exactly how their schedule looks. My whole point is just to say this. I did pick Ohio State to lose versus Michigan. And it's not because, Michigan is the better team. It's just because Ryan Day is a coach, like we've touched on several times. He's not a true tough guy. He's not a real tough guy. He's a fake tough guy. And players kind of feed off of their coach. You know what I'm saying? They can see whenever that stuff is fake. We're talking about, football players that are still actively playing. I mean, that is about as alpha as you can get. They can see whenever their leader ain't no real alpha, and it's very easy to see that he's not one of those guys. I could very easily see them losing to Michigan again this season at home, having to face up against an SEC team, and y'all, it could be versus our Volunteers. Imagine us being able to host Ohio State inside of Neyland Stadium, inside of Knoxville, with all the implications, everything that's been going on with the arrogant Ohio State fans. That stadium, that atmosphere will be one of the best in football history. I can almost guarantee it. I think that the decibel record through all of football is like 147. That's held by the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that we might break that. Like, we might hit 155, 160, as long as we don't have those, Gator chomp involved fans inside of Neyland. And I had to touch on this here just really quickly. I don't understand that, right? Like, those are new Tennessee fans. If you lived through the 90s, then you would already understand it. For us, it's embarrassing to even want help from anybody else. We expect to be able to get there on our own, and we damn sure ain't going to be gator chomping inside of our own stadium. That is a big time problem. Those fans should be banned for, like the next 5 to 10 years or something if I was the one calling shots. But we don't need those fans inside of Neyland whenever we get to, crunch time, playoff mode. So as long as we have in real Tennessee fans, that stadium is going to absolutely be rocking. And I hope that we do get to host Ohio State for the first game, because we will dominate them. I've watched enough film to know that their weaknesses are our strengths. And, they can do some nice things. They've got plenty of, very good players. That's a top 1 to 3 roster in the entire country. There's no reason that they ever lose a game, especially to Oregon. It doesn't matter. Like, the game should never even be close. They're playing up against terrible competition. Whole point here, y'all, is that we will beat them. If it's not going to be us, it's going to be hopefully another SEC team. If they lose in the first round of the college football playoffs, after they've had so many people come out vocally and say, look, we spent $20 million on this roster, Ryan Day's gone. David Sanders is not going to Ohio State with Ryan Day on the hot seat. And that's why, we heard from Wilt Fong, we heard from Austin Price and some other people that David Sanders might not make a decision for like the next week or so. I think that they're going to be watching that Michigan game very closely. And if Ohio State does win, which they should, then, things don't look as well. Just from where I'm sitting at, I don't have all the ins and outs, but just from where I'm sitting at, they don't look as well for our Tennessee Volunteers, because, again, there is a reason that him and his family, which I think that they're all very, very intelligent. I've heard them speak, I've read some of the things that they've said, their quotes and all that type of stuff. They are intelligent enough to understand all of this. So I think that we have to, as Tennessee fans, watch that Ohio State-Michigan game very closely. If Michigan wins that game, I could, pretty much say with, again, 99.9% certainty that David Sanders will end up with our Tennessee Volunteers. But those are pretty much my thoughts, right? Like, I know that I didn't give y'all any real inside information, unless I'm telling you things that you haven't heard based off of what the insiders are saying. You'd have to pretty much be living up under a rock not to know some of this stuff. But I just wanted to give y'all my thoughts, because everyone else is kind of giving theirs. I do think that at the end of the day, if David Sanders looks at, everything from top to bottom, really Tennessee is the best place for him, okay? Like, even if you want to look at, Coach E, right? Him as our offensive line coach versus Coach Fry, who is Ohio State's offensive line coach. Coach E has developed several more NFL offensive linemen than Coach Fry has. So would love to be able to land David Sanders in this class. I do feel like he will ultimately end up here, but we'll see what happens over the course of this next week. Again, we are watching that Ohio State-Michigan game very closely. But those are my thoughts. Please leave yours down in the comment section. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. See y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.